I had breast cancer while we were doing RUF ministry in Corpus Christi. So that was an incredibly difficult year. And even leading up to that time, things were really hard at home with Paul. We didn't know he was bipolar at the time. There was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of emotion, a lot of depression. The depression showed itself more earlier on, so it wasn't clear till later that it was bipolar disorder.
I grew up with a father who was undiagnosed bipolar, and he was an alcoholic. So I remember coming home and seeing him passed out on the floor, intoxicated. And so I had a good grasp of evil in the world at a young age. Also internally, because I knew I was a sinner. I knew that the problem wasn't out there only, the problem was in here, and I was a part of it.
So things were really hard. So when I got cancer, I was very lonely. I never felt like I could talk to anybody about what was going on at home. Paul sort of also kind of made me feel that way. I think he had so much internal shame over it all. He didn't want others to know. So it was very lonely, and I went through some really difficult times with my faith, where it was really tested. I mean, God, why are you doing what you're doing? Is this a game? Why can't you just end it now? There's so much darkness all around. All the ministers that meant something to me growing up in one way or another had crashed. I knew I was a believer, but at the same time, I was very angry.
Growing up in a dysfunctional home, we always knew we were loved. We had that security. My mother was a very grounded individual. She was the rock of the family. She held the family together. My father would come in and have moments of serenity and moments of sobriety, but then he would blow it all up again because he was manic depressive. And I decided to leave home at the age of 17. I bought a one-way ticket to Dallas, so I'm getting out of here. And then I realized you can run from home, you can run over 1,000 miles away from home like I did, but you can't outrun your genetics. There's mental illness on both sides of my family. And it turns out that I had the same issue my father had. I'm bipolar 1. And so I was self-medicating, trying to keep all of it under wraps. I wouldn't share any of my story. I didn't even share it with my wife for a lot of years. But it all started to come out while I was in full-time ministry, and it came out sideways. And even though I would go to counseling for a while, I'd think, I'm better, I don't need this, I feel better. Of course, in the summer, I always felt better because that's when I had my emotional highs. But I would drink heavily at times to try to bring myself up or bring myself down. And also, I drank to deal with the emotional pain. So a lot of darkness there for me personally, and unfortunately for my wife, because she had to live with me, which was a real test.
And then I got cancer, and then that was a time where I feel like God used it in my life to just sweep me off my feet and just say, nope, I'm the one in charge. You need to stop questioning everything and trust me because I love you. And I did my treatment up in Dallas at my parents' home not far from here. at UT Southwestern. And so I remember a time in the middle of chemo where I was in my old bedroom, and I just remember thinking how peaceful and calm it was. And it really dawned on me like how much turmoil there was at home with Paul. So God just used that time that I was going through surgeries and doctor's appointments and chemotherapy, and you know, it was restful. I spent so much time in the Word, and I was back at home in this stable environment that I grew up in with loving parents who were taking care of me. God used that dark time to really show me my need for Him and His love for me, and it also and He really showed me too, like, what we've got to address what's going on at home.
While I was in ministry and I was dealing with college students that were coming from very broken homes and broken situations, and I could see in the sovereignty of God how He put me at the campus that He put me at and dealing with the students I was dealing with, because I understood a lot of the brokenness. But the problem was I hadn't dealt with my own junk and all the pain of the past. And so their pain was bringing up my pain, and I began to do what my father did. I began to self-medicate.
Through the next few years, I mean, it was several years later where we really got to our lowest point with Paul, and we knew at that point it was bipolar disorder. But I know God used that time in my life when I had cancer to grow me up in a lot of ways so that I could be there for Him through His deepest and darkest times. But really at the heart of it, I mean, at our deepest and darkest moment, I remember seeing the light, thinking, Lord, this has got to be, let this be it. Let this be the point, the turning point for Paul. In a lot of ways, like cancer was for me.
Hi, my name is David Wilson. I'm the director for Bent Tree. Why are we doing these videos? It's because we want to tell people's stories. We think as they tell their stories, they bring you into their story. And we think that if you hear their stories, maybe you'll have the courage to tell yours, or that you'll ask other people about theirs. We think this is a worthwhile ministry for you to invest in. If you'll see at the end of these videos, there'll be a link for you to see if you could donate to us. We sure could use the help. Thank you.